Hello and welcome back to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. This week, episode 50. Can you believe we've made it to 50 episodes? So this week, I'm going to have this episode be a thank you, an expression of gratitude, and a reintroduction of myself and where I'm at and all that good nitty gritty since starting my journey. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. Whew, I'm going to give you a big hug per usual because that's my thing. We know that now, hopefully. Big hugs to you. Thank you so much, you listening. I hope you realize how much it means to me to hear the feedback on how folks are benefiting from my podcast. It means so much to me because for so long, and I still have those moments of imposter syndrome to where I feel like nobody's going to want to hear my story. And, my story isn't meaningful and how those thoughts are just in my head. They're just what I'm perceiving and feeling and thinking from situations that happened so many years ago. So yes, I still continue to work on that mindset. And while it's still like right now, it's a small voice that does, get louder from time to time, but I'm the one to decide whether or not I choose to believe it, which I'm going to just, say, that's nice to the thought in my mind and just let it go, right? Just let it go. So while I do at times struggle with the imposter syndrome, changes that I'm seeing and hearing in others, I get goosebumps. It really impacts me like the most beautiful ripples from you're throwing each review is like when you skip stones in the water, if you've done that before, and you just throw it and you see and watch how far those ripples go. Ooh, I just got goosebumps again. Do you know how impactful that is to get those reviews? Maybe you are one of the people that left me a review and how much weight and importance that holds and means to me. Y'all, I can feel the tears coming right now. So I apologize beforehand, per usual, right? Hopefully by now you're at a point, or soon will be at the point, where you realize that this journey is so much more meaningful than just the superficial loss of weight that happens with this lifestyle. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I have from this journey. And while there's no definitive point that things switched and flipped, it's that gradual change over time that I knew and felt, experienced, and loved, welcomed at the same exact time, and how fresh and new, exciting things in life could be just from that mindset switch and flip with the biggest amount of gratitude possible. So just as a refresher for folks, if you haven't listened to episode 1, my story, my journey started in 2018 in August. So this upcoming August will be 5 years that I have been fasting every single day in some form. And while some days were just a modest 16-8, there were many days where it went even longer than that. And I did mention my longest fast was 14 days with just fluids. Like I just had my water and coffee for the day. But where I am now with my health and weight in maintenance is something that old Vicki, beginning just embarking on my fasting journey, Vicki, I could have never imagined that I would be where I am at this very moment. I know I kind of imagined in my mind. I even went as to so far, and I can share this photo. I have no shame in this at this point because y'all have seen me in my skivvies, right? But I have this picture I remember very early on. Hopefully by now, because I've even had some folks make comments that my photos were photoshopped. Y'all, I have no Photoshop skills, but in the very beginning of my journey, because of the weight just coming off so quickly and easily, I got excited. So my visual artsy fartsy kind of mind took an image that I took of myself and I altered it in the most amateur, totally visible that you could see, because there was the warps and things with the Photoshop, because I have no idea how to really adequately professionally use Photoshop. So this wasn't to share for other people. It was just for me and my internal kind of motivation. I remember taking this photo and zooming, bringing in the areas that were the biggest insecurity for me, and really just, could I see myself as a smaller, thinner, healthier person? With the losses that I had experienced so far in my weight, not the death and losses, that's another segment. With the body weight losses that I had experienced so far, it was probably at least 20 to 30 pounds already at that point. So I was getting excited, and I just wanted more reasons to be excited. And this was plenty. That edited photo gave me so much inspiration and motivation. And I didn't look at it often. I didn't always come back to it, but just that process of that digital alteration was kind of a metaphor for the actual process that would be taking place over the future time that I would be on this journey, to allow myself to see what was possible. And could I truly imagine myself being at this size? And I remember just having these sessions of meditation that I would just kind of see myself and feel the way that my body felt at this smaller size, and how much of an effect it would have on other parts of my life, and how much I wanted that. And do you realize that you can do that too? It doesn't have to be to where you do the same thing as I do, or if you're proficient in Photoshop, if that's your thing, give it a try. Try it out to see. And just truly imagine yourself at your goal, at the maintenance, at the finish line.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
One of the things also that I have come to appreciate and be aware of now in maintenance is that I notice those weight fluctuations that happen along this journey in maintenance. And with identifying and seeing and experiencing them, I don't harbor any negative feelings towards myself. I don't beat myself up. I have so much empathy and compassion for each of these moments I willingly and deliberately participate in, to allow these celebratory beverages, food, whatever it is, in that moment. And if the fluctuations happen, that's okay. It is totally okay, because with fasting as my lifestyle tool, I'm able to balance out those imbalances very easily and without any self-deprecation, any self-punishment, restrictive lists, obsessive working out. I find the joy in just keeping busy during my fasting window and doing things, being with people that make me happy, that fill up that metaphorical kind of cup that we all need to continue to fill every single day. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And as I've said before, with all my losses that I've experienced, with the deaths that I've had throughout my life, people that have passed away, my favorite bit of wisdom that I've mentioned before, when I traveled last year to Greece, to the blue zones of Ikaria, with staying well so that you can remember the ones that you've lost, because the loved ones that we have that have passed away, they wouldn't want you to perpetuate in your negativity, in your victim mindset and restrictive punishment lists and torturing yourself to be at a certain size to meet some crazy standards. They'd want you to stay well. The best way to honor the ones that we've lost is to stay well. Period. Many of you have also seen on my social media channels that my senior dog, my little Sheltie Fenway, recently passed away. And his death leading up to his passing was really painful for me to experience because his deterioration in health, although it was natural, and he did leave an exceptionally long life for his breed that we checked to see, I think it was like an average of 13 or so years for Sheltie's lifespan, and he was over 15 years old. So his death felt like another extension, another part of loss that I already experienced with losing my husband Jim back in 2019, and seeing him decline in health. This started probably around like March, April or so. We started to notice those little signs, right? And seeing and noticing that started to compound over time the worse his health got. And just the thought and fact that I would eventually maybe possibly have to, put him down was really painful to think about. I even had just fears and apprehensions towards waking up one morning and him being completely still and I've already passed in the night, not breathing sort of thing. But ultimately, it did come down to deciding that his current quality of life was deteriorating to a point where it was full suffering, miserable for him. And I just knew from past experiences in my time, again, like I said, with my husband, Jim, that it wasn't something that I wanted to have him continue to experience as his life. And, as my first little child, like that was our first child that we had as a puppy before our children were born, before we were even married, that was our first little baby. So to see and know that that was where we were at the point of his life was really hard to finally wrap my head around. And I do apologize. I have mentioned it before, so I'm going to mention it again. I do apologize and appreciate the grace and patience that you all as listeners, you all as followers, and folks that have been plugged into me since your connection finding with me, that I needed to take this break, this almost now 2-month break from regular consistent podcasting because of my emotions and mindsets. And there were a few times where I did, slightly over a 24 hour extended fast because of where I knew my headspace was and how I knew that fasting would reestablish that stability emotionally and mentally that I needed. I tapped at that quite often during my little break away from podcasting here. So I'm giving you all like a real big hug as a thank you, as a, way to let you know that I'm appreciative of you, of your consistent following and listening and being a part, as I've said before, being a part of this growing, just incredible community of like-minded individuals who know that fasting, is more than just the superficial, potentially superficial, like one-dimensional kind of quote unquote, I'm doing my finger quotes here for you, your weight loss method, when it is so much more than that. And I've covered this before. If you're interested in hearing more about how fasting can help with, establishing a better grasp of your mental and emotional health, I do cover that. I may eventually cover another refresher kind of episode in the future. So thank you. I'm going to give you another big hug because I'm feeling very Danny Tanner Full House. If you know the reference, then you know. So big hug for you. Thank you. So I'm excited that come on, Vicky, that we're now at 50 episodes. So for me, what I continue to want to work towards is getting more stories on here. I want to hear from more folks who have had this wonderful success with this weight loss through fasting and the every other effect and side effect and rippling effect that has happened to you, if this is you, along the journey, along the process, because that's what it's about, spreading the experiences, sharing the stories as far and wide around the world. Like, shout out to my worldwide listeners, not in the United States. Like, hey, hug to you. I am thankful for you as well. So I want to get more stories, so be on lookout. There's a handful of folks that I have and will be connecting with to feature on podcast episodes. So again, I'm going to put out another call to action and let you know that if you are interested in sharing your story, if you're like, man, I want to tell my story, I think this would make a great podcast episode, please reach out. Check out my website, thefastingfocusedlifestyle.com, and you will see, if you go to the book now page, scroll down and you'll see request to schedule an interview for the podcast. And I want to brag about you. I want to hear, I want to celebrate with you. If you've been a silent lurker, if you've been a public only to your circle of friends, like to whatever level, if you've had success, I want to talk about you. I want to celebrate you. I want to feature you. I want to shout it out so that more people can truly reap the full benefits of this implementation lifestyle tool in their lives, so we can change the world to have, it's a maybe like way far out there goal, but in my mind, like, I want to make the whole world like a blue zone. There's no reason why it has to be specific areas. We can all have components to where we're living these long, healthy, meaningful, rich, connected, just awesome lives. And despite the struggles, despite the hardships, despite the challenges, man, like, I want more happy, healthy people to be with the ones that they love, to do the things that they love to do, and just, that's my little, I'm still a hippie kind of dream, even though I'm not a 70s baby, I'm an 84 baby, but man, I'm like, I got hippie vibes and I'm about it. And I want you to be about it too. I hope you're about it. I want to get off my little cloud here before I go too far off on a tangent, but yeah, again, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. I value and respect you so, so much. Please know that, as I always say, I truly believe in you. You can do this. You can be an after. I want you to go get your after, because you can have it. It's right there. Go and get it. Go and get your after. If you are in need of supportive coaching on your fasting journey, I'm here. I care. I know you can do it. I've walked the walk, and I'm proud to continue to talk this talk. I'm extremely passionate about what I do because I know it works, and you can have it too. TheFastingFocusedLifestyle.com has my calendar and more. And again, thank you. Until next time, take care. The Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. Copyright 2023. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you.